Record. Alright, so this is the red-eared slider. We're doing a turtle dissection here, and we're going to look at the different anatomical structures. We're going to kind of start on the external anatomy first, and then we'll go down. We're looking at here, this is the carapace. This is going to be the top shell, right? And then you have the bridge here that connects the carapace to the plastron. Okay. They have 4 limbs. They have their hind limbs. Also have the tail. And then you have 4 limbs up here. This is a freshwater turtle. A couple things we're going to note up here on the anterior head region is going to be the eye. Directly behind the eye, there's this round region. This is called the tympanum. The tympanum allows for them to pick up vibrations and for hearing. They also have the external nares. And the external nares, if I insert my probe, I'm going to open up the mouth here, and you're going to notice that the probe comes out on the inside, and these are the internal nares. As air travels from the external nares to the internal nares, it'll be picked up by, this is the tongue right here, this opening in the tongue, and this is called the glottis. The opening in the tongue is going to lead to the trachea, and this is how they're actually breathing, is through the glottis itself. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at what does the inside of the turtle comprise. So I'm going to remove the plastron. Lots of connective tissue and muscle there. This region is the pectoral girdle, and this is the pelvic girdle. And so in order to see some of the things, we're going to have to kind of pull this back a little bit. We're going to start with the respiratory system since we talked about the nares. And the respiratory system is going to lead to this trachea. And you can tell that this is the trachea because it has these ridges on it. And so the ridges itself is kind of that indicating structure. So air leads through the trachea. The trachea then divides, and as it divides, we call this the bronchus right here. There are 2 of them. And they each lead to a lung that's located dorsally near the shell or the carapace of the shell. And so we'll look at that. So it leads back behind the heart down into these 2 regions. And if I pull this area up, I don't know if you can see deep inside, there is kind of this squishy network of fibers right there. And if I cut into it, it looks almost like a spider web. Can you see that in there? That spider web network is going to be the lungs. The lungs are located on both sides, so the bronchus is going to lead to that. So that's part of their respiratory system. All right, so now we're going to look at the digestive system. When we look at the digestive system, we have the mouth, and at the back of the mouth, of course, we saw earlier, you have a tube, and this is the esophagus. And so food is going to lead through the mouth into the tube. The tube, again, also goes behind the heart, all right, and that's this structure we'll get to in a second. And it goes this direction. So it's going to travel behind this large structure, and this is the liver. As it goes behind this structure, you can see it right here. This is the stomach, all right? This huge section right here is the stomach. So the stomach leads into the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestines, and that's this region right here. Now you see the green region, and that actually comes from, here's more liver, so this large structure here, and here's the liver, comes from the gallbladder. And so the gallbladder is this sac in here, and you can see this dark green structure, that's the sac. The gallbladder is going to store the bile that's produced by the liver, and then it's going to be inserted into the small intestines to allow for it to break down other particles of food. So again, this is the small intestines, this is the pancreas, then the small intestines, or the duodenum, goes into the full part of the small intestines, which is all this stuff right here. Now, all of this stuff is connected together, and it's connected together by this tissue right here, and this is mesentery. So it's connective tissue that keeps the small intestines together. The small intestines continue on, and as they continue on and on and on, you get to a point at which it changes. And you can see that abrupt change right here from the small intestines to what would be the large intestines, or the colon. So the large intestines go down here and all the way back down to the bottom. Where my finger is down there is where the rectum starts, and the rectum leads from here to this opening, which is known as the cloaca. And this is where gametes as well as waste products will enter or leave the body. Okay. So along with the digestive system, we have the excretory system, and that's this right here. This makes up the urinary bladder, and this is where all the urine or nitrogenous waste is stored, and it too exits the cloaca. This waste is created by kidneys, and these kidneys are located down in here, they're this structure, usually black in color, and we're going to see it on a male. This one is a female. There's one on both sides. There's one here, and there's also kidneys located on this side down here. Okay. So on the small intestines, you're going to find a spleen, which kind of looks like it's absent. Maybe we'll find it in just a second. But we have these things right here. And you can see all of these. These are eggs. And the eggs are part of the ovaries and the oviduct, which is this system, the reproductive system right here. So they're producing gametes in order for the species to continue on. Okay. Now we're going to go into the circulatory system. So if we're looking at the circulatory system, we have the heart, and that's this right here, this structure. And it's currently covered by a pericardial sac. And so the pericardial sac, we're going to open it up and look at the different parts to the heart inside. Alright, so in this particular case, these are organisms that are reptiles, have 3-chambered hearts as opposed to 4-chambered heart that we see in mammals. And if we're looking at the 3-chambered heart right here, we've got the center ventricle, the left auricle, and the right auricle or atrium. And then we have all these tubes that are coming off of them, and these large blood vessels are going to carry blood away from the heart. This first one right here is the left pulmonary artery. This right here is the aortic arch. And this up here is part of the subclavian. This is the brachiocephalic trunk, and these are the subclavian. So these are going to branch off and go to the head, hence the cephalic portion of the term there. But they all travel up through the body. They also go back down this direction. Now, something that you need to note is that there is a vertebral column, and the vertebral column is all the way down here in the back. It's actually attached to the carapace itself, so it's fused together. We're going to look at a male. So Chloe, can you bring me your turtle over here real quick? And then Teresa, will you bring me your turtle real quick, please? Bring me your turtle. All right, so we're looking at the male here, and obviously we're not going to have any of those other structures like the ovaries, but we still have the urinary bladder that's pulled back. This is still the pelvic girdle and the cloaca. And if you notice the difference in the tail, look how much longer the tail for the male is than it is for the female. And look at the distance between where the cloaca is located. The male's cloaca has to be located further because during reproduction they do cloacal kissing, and then that means that these two things are going to line up together, and it just makes sense that it would work out that way. Alright, so if we're looking inside, these two balls, those are actually the testes, and then this structure right next to it, those are going to be the kidneys. So we have the kidneys down here and the testes right here. And again, it happens on both sides. So this is the colon right here, testes, and kidneys directly behind it. Okay, so one more thing we're going to look at here. We're going to look at some bone structures. So this is the pectoral girdle right here, and we've uncovered all the structures in the bone with the scapula. This is the humerus, all right? And then you have the radius and the ulna. And so you've got the ulna and the radius here. And then if we're looking down here, we've uncovered this bone. This is the femur. And then down here, we're going to look at two bones called the tibia and the fibula. So the tibia is going to be the large bone that's going to be located here, and the fibula is going to be located right back here. And this is the dissection of the turtle.